like fractional allocations of a lot of people. And just, my belief is that you want to co-locate these people, like just at key times during the work, just so that you kind of cut down on the number of meetings, like they're working through things in real time. There's less email, but it becomes more tricky to do if somebody's on 15% and you're trying to like figure out when you get them. So yeah, right now that's the biggest like kind of problem I'm struggling with, is just like how do you juggle contracts to like kind of allow for like more synchronous like kind of contact between groups. But it's a tricky thing, particularly within bigger agencies.
We're a smaller agency. I'm just wondering if you've, if you have friends that have figured out how to, I think what we're trying to decide is who do we hire and who do we, how do we farm, or, what do we farm out and what should we have on staff from that way?
Yeah, no, and I think even larger companies, like we're pretty big, and we're looking at the same thing. So, I mean, if you look at some probability distribution, just like, there's going to be outlier stuff. I mean, just, different companies will describe the outliers in being different places. Like, there's like complex digital outdoor projections, and, there's like kind of, you can Android developers or something like that. I mean, just but within the middle, where we've looked at it, is like kind of like open source, like kind of like developers, like people that are very skilled with like client-side development and know like kind of a bit of PHP and just like other things. Like, I mean, where you've got a group of like very capable like developers that can work with creative teams and build like kind of like a core set of applications. And then like when we deal with outlier projects, like we work with specialists, because I mean, like, even us, like we're good size, but we can't afford to have somebody like sitting around like twiddling their fingers, like waiting for us to come up with a project that just like we want to look at the work that we intend to build and then invest like kind of the majority of our technology hires like in that area, if that makes sense. Yeah.
How do you I mean, part of what all this implies is the inevitable decrease in importance of what we used to call the CV and the major, right? How do you deal with that within an organization without, you still have those people on the side?
Yeah, you do. I think maybe the next, whoops, it's not the next slide. Shows how well I know my own presentation, which is embarrassing. Yeah.
That's a massive shift.
It's a massive shift, and like I think when you look at team structures and the work, like, I mean, it's actually, let me flip forward a couple and we'll find it. No, I'd prefer to respond to the question. Like, so like here's an example of what you're describing. Like 2 projects that were done in the last year. Like one that was led by like kind of like a creative team, like one that was very digitally savvy and just like just extremely kind of like talented and just like progressive and risk acceptant. Like we created an alternative reality game like that I was just peripherally involved with, but just like the idea and just like the drive like kind of came through the creative department. And even though like the process was much different than creating like kind of a lot of software or even broadcast, I mean, just like it came from the minds in the creative team. On the right, like we're involved in like kind of making a very large like kind of long-term like software project with a client that's it's tools, it's community, and just like there is no big idea. Like it's not like what's the elevator pitch for this. It's like you can distill it down into an idea, but at its core, it's a huge number of very complex like kind of actions that are built together like in a way that's supposed to provide some like kind of value for a consumer. And in that case, it's not a creative director that's running it. It's like a UX person, a developer, and this like very like kind of smart social media person. So I think that attempting to take the same like kind of team structure and the same like kind of process structure and run all of your work through that, like it's going to be difficult to do that. I think it's like kind of like work will naturally like kind of find its way to like kind of the people that are most capable of leading it, and that requires like a lot of humility like kind of in the parts of a lot of people within the organization, knowing that, hey, even though I've got a big title, I know less about this than this person over here, and I'm going to cede control, which means like it doesn't mean that you're completely out of the project, but it means that somebody else just like has the dominant opinion like just on how these things are made. Yeah. So yeah, very quickly, I mean, just like Edward mentioned this, so I won't talk too long about it, but this idea of like T-shaped teams like is kind of forms the target for our recruiting practice now, and just like why like